Hello again, it's me, Natalie, and this week is our final week of this project, and we are talking about the best thing about being trans. Now, there's obviously so much for this. It's interesting actually because in order to do this, I probably have to make a slight distinction about whether it's being trans and transitioning, because some of the best things I've found about being trans are because I've been transitioning. Now, of course, it's important to be clear that not all trans people transition, and of course transition can mean different things for different people. But for me, one of the big things has been that because I've come out as trans and I've been transitioning, I've found out lots of stuff about myself and about people I know that I wouldn't have found out if I'd not been trans. So for example, I've learned so much about myself through this process of transition and having to come to terms with this thing about myself that I was in denial about so many years. So, I've kind of had to learn to really kind of challenge and critique myself in ways that other people perhaps don't get to do because you've never had to think in this way. And I know that sounds a bit wishy-washy, but what does that actually mean in practice? Well, I guess, for example, so many of the behaviours that I had prior to coming out, I came to realise were coping mechanisms or were ways of trying to be the person that society wanted me to be, or I felt society wanted me to be, rather than who I actually was. But also, there's been lots of things that I thought probably were learned behaviours, but actually quite good. So let me give you an example of a couple of those. So, for example, I'm now very clear that when I was in my early teens, I started trying to play football to fit in. All the boys my age played football, talked about football, played football in the playground. I wanted to fit in. I didn't really have any friends, so in order to do that, I'll play football. Obvious. So I did that. Went to like a sort of training camp to play football. Won a Fair Play Award, and anyone who knows anything about football means if you win the Fair Play Award, that means you're terrible. So did that. Anyway, I actually grew to really love it, and I still like playing football now. So that was a really great thing that I wouldn't have perhaps done otherwise. What about the stuff that kind of I have learnt about myself as bad I managed to change? Well, there's lots of stuff that I know was coping mechanisms that I've had to let go of through my process of coming to terms with myself. And I guess that's things, well, I haven't done anything about them, but things like kind of negative self-image, having not been very nice to myself, that kind of stuff is things that I know it's there, and I know it's a thing, and I can deal with that now that I know it's a thing. And I can challenge my own behaviours of kind of when I sabotage myself and so on, which I wasn't able to do. I wouldn't have been able to do if I hadn't come out. But anyway, so that's that. But there's also this really big piece, which is actually this whole community that I've been able to kind of access now that I've come out. I'm talking to you now because I started doing some videos because I wanted to do some stuff for trans people. I got involved in loads of stuff I would never have got, met loads of people I would never have got involved with. Everyone who's on Engender are friends that I've met through the trans community online. My partner, who I'm engaged to, we met through a trans people in sport conference or a diverse identities in sport conference. So that wouldn't have happened. So how cool is that I got that for all this? So met so many great people. I've done things I wouldn't have been able to do. I've been able to speak to lots of people through YouTube. I've been able to speak at conferences. I've been able to do all sorts of stuff, which has only happened because I came to terms with the fact I was trans. So there are great rewards. But anyway, this has been the last video, so thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and we really want to do something like this again, and watch this space. Goodbye.